Glory, glory, glory. Praise Yah, praise Yah, praise Yah. The redeemed of Israel. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. On this blessed, set apart, sanctified, holy Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, Israel. Shabbat Shalom. Let's greet one another. Beauty of holiness. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
Hey. Show me leave her alone playing her bell. Hallelujah. Glory to the King. Y'all, we thank you for all things. We bless you for your magnificent interest in us as a people. We thank you for creating us, allowing us to partake in your kingdom before eternity. We thank you for Jesus, the blood that he shed, you being mindful, giving us our Yeshua, our salvation, our deliverance. We need deliverance as we fight this warfare in this particular world at this time. Speak to us your words of truth. Let the knowledge of the Most High enter into our minds and conscience to help our spirits become even more of tenacious warriors to defeat this enemy and to have a peace of mind in this diaspora. We glorify and honor your magnificent name. We will live for you that sinners may be converted, the few that there are, they will be. And we will continue to praise and lift you up in the mighty name of Jesus. Speak to us. Amen. You may be seated, Israel. Ooh, boy, you know there's a lot that go on an everyday basis. Brother Desmond just had a daughter down in Houston. Just had a daughter down there in Houston. Which we thank the Father for. Because we know 20 years from now, that little girl going to be grown. That's how this nation going to be built, because there's very few people that are going to be converted from wickedness. So the nation has to be built from within. And I mean, when you look at it, you got to understand, I'm going to be, how old am I? I'm going to be 70 years old in 20 years. You understand? And so, you know, this nation is going to continue to grow as we continue to keep having babies. That will be brought up the right way. That's the whole ideal, is to bring them up the right way in the commandments of the Most High. Because, you know, those of you within 10 years of my generation, either way, you understand how wicked this world is. You do not need a lesson in it. You already know. But it sure is nice to be able to rear and raise children that has had no influence of the world. Now, while we're in the world, it's virtually impossible for us to escape from everything of the world. Do y'all understand Israel? So we have to do everything as knowledge is given to us of the Most High to make sure that we cultivate this truth and live it. Because if this is not lived, it has no strength. And the only way you're going to be able to see how strong this word is when you see the few people who have the fear of Yahweh in their hearts live it. And when it's lived, the testimony of Jesus cannot be denied, because it's showing the actual law himself that was manifested. It's true, and his testimony is true. So while we, as Israelites, there will always be just a few of us, not many when you considering how many the Hasatan obtains in this world. But the Most High has never conquered nations. Is never depended upon numbers. All right? Just righteousness. Hallelujah. Righteousness always exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach. Well, what's amazing is that we all were birthed in this world under the law of death. But you must be born again. Are y'all listening to me? That's why today people can't understand us, because we've been where they are. But we're not all going the same place. Are you following me? And we are the ones that have the true testimony of the Messiah to show that he is alive, because it confounds the world to think that from one day you could be this way while they're still religious, and then the next day you could be this way, going totally contrary to everything you had ever learned. This is called being born of the water and of the Spirit. You can do the external of immersing, baptizing someone in water, but that does not impart to you the Spirit of Yahweh. You can study this book until you can quote it verbatim like Jack Van Imp, but that does not give you his Spirit. His Spirit, when it's really truly imparted you, it makes you willing and able to be obedient to your Creator. And if you notice that today the struggle and the fight is against obedience. It's the age-old fight, saints. It's always been that way, and will be that way until his kingdom comes. So we're watching iniquity abound, what the world defines as corruption, because they want to steer away from biblical terms as much as they can. But basically what it is lawlessness. And we're lacking greatly in spirituality in this world. Can y'all hear me? And that's the reason why we have a moral decline, because people refuse to be spiritual. I mean, we go to school to learn how to read books greater than the books we read when we were in high school to obtain knowledge. And yet, the best-selling book, people ignore it, because it's the only book that can convict the spirit of man of his sick condition. And since man believed that he's God, yes, he does. Man believes that he's God. He feels like that he doesn't need any correction, nor does he feel like he needs to submit himself to someone who he cannot see to obey some type of laws, rules, and guidelines, which doesn't jive with what I want to do. Is this making sense? So the preaching of the Messiah is foolishness to man. You understand? And the wisdom of this world is foolishness. But Yah has chosen the foolish things of this world. That's what we look like to these people. To confound and to confuse all these people who claim to be wise. Are you following me? That's what he's doing. And he's always had a remnant, and he's going to continue only to have a remnant. You need to make sure that you stay that remnant. Don't assume because you're listening to me or you're sitting here that you're going to be here 20 years from now. Because the enemy has drew up a war, a plan for your destruction. And that's the reason why we do what other ministries refuse to do, which is talk to you about the spiritual war that is taking place, that is waging against your soul. And since it's not talked about, the enemy, he is free to keep up his discord, his division, and his destruction among people. Are you following? Your life is going to determine the type of fruit that you are. And men, if they are intelligent, meaning that they are good fruit themselves, they will eat of the fruit of that tree. And make no mistake about it. He is the vine and we are the branches. You understand? He's the root and the offspring of David. And unless we abide in him, we cannot produce any fruit. You understand? So that means that we can't function in this world after our own heart, which is by nature wicked. Yes, it is. corrupt, full of iniquity. We have to depend on the one who has always been around from everlasting to everlasting to guide us by the Spirit of His Word, which is the Spirit of truth. Do you understand? Hallelujah. We are going to be on envy, I guess, number 3. Envy number 3. And we're probably going to be here for quite some time. The reason being is it's very important for you, because when you hear me speak about envy, all right, I know that sometimes we quickly give blanket statements and hoping. And that's a teacher's mistake a lot of times, is that when he speaks and teaches, he just assumes that people are automatically getting it. But that's not the case. The one thing that we have a lack of today is people actually explaining this war that we're confronted with, making it so plain that people can see it when they see the actions or inactions of what's taking place. Now, everybody who believes, and it's in the faith, we all know that the devil exists. Is that right? He is a created being. But what we're very apprehensive about doing is calling someone who we believe to be a saint a devil, when they're acting like devils, because we fear judgment. And when you fear judgment, you don't want to judge. But a righteous man, he loves judgment. Do you understand? Not only a righteous, but watch this, a spiritual man. He judges. And he does it all the time. Then the book goes on to say, yet he himself is judged by no man. Now, how do we make sense of that, since we have some people willing to judge and others are not willing to judge? The only reason why a righteous man can't be judged, because if he's righteous based on the law and what it says, you're no longer judging man, but you're judging the one who gave the law. You're judging the creator, the lawgiver. Do y'all get this, Israel? Do y'all understand this? And so we need knowledge of our enemy, so that our eyes of discernment, the eyes of discernment, can be turned on, so we can recognize the fruit of his ways and the fruit of his doings, so that we can be wise in confronting, dealing, and annihilating, in order to try to save one of our Israelite saints' soul. Are you getting it? When we read about the accounts over in the Torah that speaks about our people, we see the many insurrections that was taking place. I say today, there's not one person in this earth who claims to have Yahshua as their Messiah. When they're acting out of character, they never deny that they belong to him. Korah, Dathan, and Abiram didn't deny it either. But what they did was they went past the authority that was allotted to them. And when they begin to judge Moshe, they begin to judge the one who made Moshe. Do you understand? And we're not careful. And so, whereas Yahweh in the beginning was killing people naturally in order to get rid of that spirit, because remember, he says, so shall you put away the evil from among you. See, when he would annihilate the person, that would get rid of that spirit, and it would cause fear to come up on the assembly, and then the evil will be put away. Well, in his wisdom, knowing that we're going to be scattered throughout all the world, not just the Americas, throughout all the world in the isles of the sea. Him knowing that, and him also making provisions for us by giving us the Ruach, he knew that he had to deal with us in a spiritual sense, which was already prophesied of by the prophets. See, in the old covenant, if we can say that, the Spirit used to come upon mighty men. Now, his Spirit is in mighty men. Y'all see the difference? It's still the same Spirit, which comes from the Father. All right? We're talking about the Holy Spirit, the Ruah. The Ruah is different from the Nemesia. All right? The breath that was actually breathed. And you know, all animals even partook of that. Because they're living creatures, living substance, living beings. Do you understand? All right? Good. So only those who are born of this Spirit will begin to understand. So we have to earnestly contend for the faith that was once delivered to the saints, so that we can make sure in this contending that we remain in the race. All right? Psalms 101 verse 4, read, Brother Shane. Listen to the book right here. I want y'all to see something here. Listen very closely, because you're going to see today's word not with the physical eye. It's going to come through discernment. All right? Read.
A forward heart.
A forward heart. Y'all hear that? A forward heart. All right, read on.
Shall depart from me.
Mm-hmm.
I will not know a wicked person.
Do y'all hear that? A forward heart shall depart from him. All right? Not only that, but he will not know a what? A wicked person, meaning he will not have relations with a wicked person. Are you understand that? And that's one thing that we're very slow in doing today is putting away wickedness from us. You know, we as Israel, we have to get rid of wickedness from ourselves. All right, but when you have people that refuse to put away wickedness and thereby being a wicked man hiding under the cloak of a saint, are you following me? We're very slow about removing them. And the reason why we're slow about removing them because we ourselves do not want to be removed from Yahweh. All right, that's why you have to know his righteous judgment. Do you understand? Read on, because remember, as you judge, so shall you be judged. So if you're going to take these steps, all right, follow me, you need to make sure that you are measuring up. Once you measure up, you have no fear because you're meeting the measuring stick. Do you understand? Read on.
Whoso privily slandereth his neighbor.
Now watch this. If you privately slander your neighbor, you speak ill will, you speak evil, you rehearse things, you speak things that you're really not clear, not knowing of. You speak bad about your neighbor, and your neighbor is not the people next door over here, these heathens and pagans. Your neighbor is your brother. That's right, brother. Your neighbor is your brother. And your brother ain't the one that come from your mama and your daddy. Your brother is the one who was born of the water and of the Spirit in the brotherhood of the Messiah. Do y'all get this? That which is born of flesh, that's your natural family. And that which is born of spirit, marvel not, ye must be born again. Read on.
Him will I cut off.
Now notice, you privately slander your neighbor and stuff. Him will he do what? Cut off. See, that is a law in Israel. Do y'all hear that? You cannot afford to have loose lips. You cannot afford to go around in this life without a governor upon your tongue, because your tongue lets you know the state of your spirit. Are y'all listening to me? And just like when I threw this stick up last Shabbat, and I said the law of gravity, so are these laws. These laws are real, brothers and sisters. And you need to put a high value on your soul, and that comes by you fearing the Most High. See, fearing the Most High is more than just being terrified and afraid when he comes down upon the mountain. That's about being able to walk in his obedience. Do y'all understand that? And walk in his substance, his essence of everything that he is right now without seeing him. That's how you know his fear. Are y'all following me? Israel? Read on, Brother Shane.
Him that hath a high look.
If you have a high look, a very prideful look. All right, a high look. You understand what I mean? A very high look, read.
And a proud heart.
And a proud heart, a heart that is lifted up, meaning you share an opinion about yourselves that others don't share. Not even the Father himself. Read on.
Will not I suffer?
He's not going to put up with this kind of attitude or this kind of spirit. Read.
Mine eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land.
Now, whose eyes is the Most High going to be on? The faithful of the land. The faithful goes to the word, change to the word believe. The one who function in right action. Belief is not mental assent. something you can take a multiple choice test and agree with, is showed in your lifestyle. What you believe. Function, concrete. Y'all get that, Israel. Read on.
That they may dwell with me.
His eyes is on the faithful, and their expected end is to dwell with him. Because that's all that the Father wants around him. You understand? He wants around him the people who agree with him. Read on.
He that walketh in a perfect way, he shall serve me.
You hear that? If you walk in a perfect way, and we want to be perfect, right? What are we going to do? Serve him. And to serve him, that means we have to be obedient to his laws, his statutes, and his commandments. Not doing that which is right in our own eyes. Like we find this epidemic taking place today on this land. Because we claim that there's no judges in the land. But the truth is there are judges in the land. We just don't want to be judged. Isn't that right? And we're not going to put up with any type of judgment. But there are judges in the land. The judges in the land would be the apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, teachers, elders, deacons. That's the judges. Are you following me? People who will give right ruling, and you can bank on their ruling because you can peer into their life and see that they have the fear of Yahweh. You don't want to just be judged by any fool out there. You understand what I mean? Read on.
He that worketh deceit.
All right, now look at this. If there wasn't a possibility of deceit being worked among us, then why do we have the scriptures telling us about this deceit, warning us about this deceit? So the potential of deceit is always viable. It's always there. You understand what I mean? But notice, this is someone that works it. You understand what I mean? There you go. They practice, they ensue it, they pursue it, they work deceit. Now, I submit to you that a person that works deceit are deceived themselves. They have no idea that they're under the illusion of the wicked one, knowing that they're being deceived because they're being used. But this using comes because of an agreement that they made in their mind, intruding in the things that they should not have been, rather than obeying what the word says. And once you make that agreement, your character and your nature will start to function after this deceit. And then here it is. Here's the story of the reprobate, because now you believe that you are righteous. And you believe your righteous is righteous indignation. And you believe that everything you're doing, you're under the inspiration and auspices of the Most High, when the truth is you are working deceit. That's why today most people can't even be told right or wrong or what to do. Most people today can't even be reproved when they need corrected. Because when you are deceived, it's hard penetrating that mind and conscience, because you have a spirit speaking to you and you believe you're right, you know you're right, and we throw out all the prohibitions of the scripture that tell us that there's safety in the multitude of counselors. Isn't that true? But in order to have safety in the multitude of counselors, you have to trust in those counselors. Is that right? Read on.
Shall not dwell within my house.
The end of these people, they are not going to dwell in the Most High's house. Is that right? All right. Is there any more, Brother Shane?
He that telleth lies.
Now look at this. If the potential was not there, he would never bring it up. You know there's a potential of you lying? Surely you don't think that you're clear right now that you will never lie again. Fear does amazing things when you're uncertain. Let me tell you something, Israel. Your safety and protection in this is to actually truly, hopefully, that you have people who fear the Most High that will always judge righteously. Now y'all listen to me? Really? Those who really truly understand and know the law. Are you following me? Read on.
Shall not tarry in my sight.
No, not only are you going to be in the land, but you're not going to be in his sight. Why? Well, the end of it is all liars have a destination. The lake. It's like last night, that guy, boy, he tried to straddle the fence. 1 minute, let's get after it, boy. We're going to talk about this. We're going to get after it. And I said, okay, good. We're going to see how far we're going to get after it. And of course, you know, matter of fact, his breath got taken away from him. When you start talking about the homosexual, then he got whoa, I think it's a little extreme. Well, I think Yahweh is extreme. I think he means what he says and says what he means, and if you don't like it, it makes no difference because he's not asking my opinion or yours. So I'm sorry if some of your faggot-ass friends are going to burn forever. But I'm not sorry, if you understand what I mean. And if you want the breath of life, you better get rid of that old evil Adamic breath that you had, and you better start breathing. But you see how it staggers? See, this is what happens to you when you are constantly around tolerating sin. You start to make excuses for it because then you start to depend on the relationship that you have with man. And you don't care about this relationship that you have with man is in total transgression against the law of Yah. And I can tell you right now, with that type of attitude and opinion, his destination is a lake as well. Because if they're not going to be in the land, neither are they going to be in his sight. Then you're going to have to dwell together. Is that making sense? But you see, we should have learned something by that last night, though. We should have learned something. Now, Sister Ashley is the one who taken, she had told me about this guy. He had called twice before, is that right? Before Tabernacles, and I told her, I'm just set it up. Just set it up maybe a week or so after Tabernacle, something like that, and she did. And it totally slipped my mind. Next thing you know, Sister Vicky is badgering me about this guy calling. Now, I don't mind being on the radio broadcast, but I just found out that that day or something like it, man, I got an interview. I go, boy. I'm still kind of tired, but I'm still trying to come down off that high from the Feast of Tabernacles. You understand what I mean? And so we had that radio broadcast last night, as the old proverbial saying, going shooting from the hip. All right, but you should have learned a lot. Learned a lot in there. You can see the difference in everybody. I believe, my thought, my idea, what I say, what I ain't got time. But and they still, even them out there will constantly say, you know what I like about you? You preface everything you do based on the word. So who are they arguing with then? They arguing with me or they arguing with Yah? You see what I mean? So their own words judge them in the end. You understand? Oh, hallelujah. Whew, and I don't mind telling you, I was tired too. I was really tired. Hallelujah. Read on, Brother Shane.
I will early destroy all the wicked of the land.
See, most people don't know this Yahweh. Because in Christianity, we've all been preached and taught that this fairy tale. He has hearts coming off his shoulders, floating up in the air. You understand what I mean? They just don't understand. And when you have this image painted about you, about what Yah is, if somebody comes along reproving you and rebuking you and correcting you, you will make them an enemy. Because you have framed an image in your mind, what you believe the Creator to be, but then all of a sudden he's not the way that you thought he was. Then all of a sudden, that can't be the God that you accepted. That's why there's so much rejection. Now let's go back to what the prophet says. My people are destroyed for what? Lack of knowledge, because they what? Reject not. They don't want to know this side. See, Yah, there's a balance in Yah. They don't want to know this side. Warning always comes before destruction. Are you following me? And the reason for the warning is because you're experiencing his extreme grace and his extreme mercy. He's giving you ample amount of time to turn from your wicked way before he rains down fire. It depends on how you process that thought. Is that making sense? So bless his holy name, because his mercy endures forever. Hallelujah. Read on, Brother Shane.
That I may cut off all wicked doers from the city of Yahweh.
Do you understand that in the kingdom there will be not one wicked doer in his city? Y'all getting that? Are you following me? We're planning on dwelling in the city. Are you following me? There are 12 gates to the city. Are you following me? I don't care what gate I get in, as long as I'm in the gate. Because it's all going to lead to the temple where the Most High sits. Do you understand? Hallelujah. But we really truly need to understand that we're just not here living and breathing, and then tomorrow we die. You're set in eternity right now.
Yes, sir.
Y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
It's too late to fear him when you see him. Your fear needs to be now. Your obedience needs to be now. Hallelujah. Glory to the King. Because no wickedness, and unless we define today what wickedness is, all right, we'll be giving people a pass that Yahweh will not give a pass. Does that make sense? Y'all receiving this, Israel? Read on. Okay. Go to Proverbs 29, verse 1. Are y'all doing all right? It's a beautiful Shabbat morning, isn't it? Especially to know that there's another Israelite bought off and born into the world. Hallelujah. Read.
He that being often reproved.
Now, if you are often corrected. Now, watch this. I'm going to tell you the nature of people today because, remember, I'm one of the few people. I'm not saying I'm the only one. I'm just using that because it's part of speech. Okay? But I'm one of the few people that try to tell you, you don't only need to pay attention to the things that people do. But you really, truly need to pay attention to things that people do not do. That's a true balance. Because then you will understand who these people really, truly are. You understand? If you're going to be around an environment where you're wicked and you're going to get reproved, well, first of all, let me rephrase that. Because that doesn't make any sense. You're not going to want to be around an environment where you're constantly reproved. Are you following me? And corrected. Start at the beginning of that verse again. Read. Listen to the book.
He that being often reproved.
See, in order to be often reproved, you have to be in a place to where you are often reproved. And so in order to alleviate myself from any correction or reproof, I stay away. Y'all getting this? So he that being often reproved, read.
Hardeneth his neck.
The only way that happens is if you do not receive the correction. Now you follow me? This is spiritual. You get reproved, you have options sitting in front of you. Now, all you have to do is just exercise just a little bit of intelligence here. Most of us, we have so much anger and rage and fury that's deep down inside of us that we can't think that somebody would have the audacity to actually come up in front of us and correct us. So therefore, we're going to insulate ourselves from being protected. But the ideal is that you get reproved for a reason, hopefully that it will bring forth good fruit. Because anybody that reproves you or corrects you, just like your parents, they don't chasten you because they do it for pleasure and beating the rear end out of you. Or if they do it because they're hoping that it will change you and put you on the right course in the right way. That's the intent of it, right? I guess that now we all grown and everything. We ain't got nobody to tell me what to do. That's part of that, which we're going to find out a little bit more, that jealousy and envious spirit too. But see, this type of person right here, when they're reproved, they show you that they don't receive it because they begin to harden themselves. And sometimes people secretly harden themselves. Now, let me say something. We had a lot of people here, about 150 people somewhere along in there this past Tabernacles, right? Are you following me? And there's not a person that I can't walk around that I don't know what state their spirit is in. Because I discern. And one of the gifts of the Spirit is discerning of spirits. Why do you think sometimes when I preach some of these messages and I look directly at you, it looks like your knife getting cut and diced up and everything else? And sometimes just before I go for the kill and stuff, I look away because I don't even want to see you dying. But I'm not killing you. I'm killing the old man. Now you understand my statement. You have to love people more than they hate themselves. Does that make any sense? Because my job is to try to help deliver a nation. Does that make sense? Feed with knowledge and understanding. But we don't want to end up in this way that we get reproved and corrected and then our heart ends up hardening. Read.
shall suddenly be destroyed.
See, you're going to be destroyed when you refuse correction. You refuse being reproved. Now, even Paul in his instruction, in what the Christian world calls the pastoral epistles, the one thing he said about preaching the word was to be instant in season and out of season. And the first thing he mentions is reprove. The second thing he mentions is rebuke. All the things that our flesh don't like. Why do you think these churches are filled to the brim with people? Because they never get reproved and rebuked. Don't you know by now I could have had a mega church in Nashville? I could have had a mega church of a mega church. Because I have the anointing, the charisma, the attitude, the mind to know how to do it. I could have had me a nice $300,000 a year salary, plus a $100,000 a year pastor appreciation gift, a nice paid off home, 2 or 3 Lexus, a boat, a yacht, Learjet, and you would have still been saying, praise the Lord. You know the reason why? Because I'm not disturbing your life. Because you are coming to assembly without your life being reproved, alleviating yourself from any judgment. And as long as, see, your mind makes the deduction that as long as you come, you in the kingdom. Mm-hmm. Oh, hallelujah. By now, after 20 years of doing this thing, I could have had a 8,000, 10,000 member church. I'd have put Joe Osteen to shame. Only one problem. I love my soul. First of all, I love Yahweh. I love my soul. I love you. And I'm not selling my soul cheap. Cheap is when you preach and teach for the lamentations of men. Cheap is when you preach and teach for the gain of this world. That's cheap. Because all this is going to perish. All of us are like grass. We're going to wither and fade away, but the word of Yahweh is going to remain forever. So we have a choice and decision to make. Jesus wasn't speaking out the side of his neck when he said, store up not for yourself treasures here on this earth where moth and rust do corrupt, but you store up your treasures in the eternal, in Shemaim, where moth nor rust, there's no corruption there, because he's bringing it down. Do you understand? And most people, they just pick and choose the way of Satan. But you can give yourself a pass. You can ignore all these corrections and reproofs, but know this, after that, the judgment. And somebody's right and somebody's wrong. And in this world, we've been taught the cattle mentality. You ever see a herd of cows? All it takes is just one cow to walk one way, and all of a sudden you watch the rest of them. They don't care where they're going. They just walk. I kid you not. They go. Hallelujah. That's just the way it is. All right, read on, Brother Sang.
And that without remedy.
So you're going to be destroyed. There will be no remedy, no solution for your salvation. Read.
When the righteous are in authority.
When the righteous are in authority. Now here's the key right here. This is something spiritual that takes place as well. Watch this.
The people rejoice.
They rejoice when the righteous are in authority. But watch this one.
But when the wicked beareth rule.
When the wicked is ruling.
The people mourn.
They mourn. Do you understand that? All right, so let's pay attention to these things right here. All right, we're going to be on spiritual warfare again. And remember, everything that I say right here would do, not only that, it's going to open up your discernment. Because when you are able to see the workings of the enemy, when you can't articulate it, and that's the reason for these messages, is to help you not only to discern, but to help you to articulate what's taking place right here amongst us. All right, so you'll be able to know the enemy, know your enemy, okay? We're going to be speaking about envy and jealousy, okay? Jesus said in Matthew 10:40, he that receiveth you, receiveth me. And he that receiveth me, receiveth him that sent me. So it is very important that you receive the ones that Yahshua sends. Are you following me? For many, not a few, for many shall come in my name, in his authority, saying, I am Christ, or I am of Messiah. I'm born again. I'm filled with the Spirit just like you are, and shall deceive many. And then shall many be offended. And in this offense, look what they're going to do. And shall betray one another, and shall do what? Hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. You're the ones going to have to determine who these many are. Envy and jealousy. Are y'all ready? Let's get some knowledge for our warfare. We're going to study our enemy so we can get on the battlefield. Envy again, primitive root, causative. Make zealous, that is, in a bad sense, jealous or envious. Envious. Or to move or to provoke, jealous, very hot, all that, such and such, so on. James 3:16 says, for where envy and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. All right? Now notice, envy and strife is not in the air, it's in people. So don't think just because somebody possesses envy and strife that makes everything confused and everything evil. Does that make sense? So again, like we did last time, what mind do you see from, and what sight is of the mind? How do you see? How do you perceive? What lenses are you perceiving things through when you watch, when you look? All right? Today, we're going into the very workings of this wicked spirit so that we can recognize and discern it when it is working among us. The only way you're going to see these spirits is by understanding their speech and action. You have to give in to these kinds of influences. These entities, meaning natures, are not the real you. And I define that as the new man. See, these entities and natures, we were expected to operate this way because we had no righteousness in us whatsoever at all. We had no spirit of truth to function by. Are you following me? But the new man, which is you're created in Christ Jesus with, these natures and these entities should not be found. Think between the two kingdoms which are functioning here on this earth. Which one do you serve? Now, I know that we all jump the gun and say Yahweh. All right? And we all believe that, at least from a right conscience right now. But we have to pay attention to our function to see which kingdom we really truly are serving. Because if not, we're going to deceive ourselves. And the passes that we give ourselves, the Most High won't give. Yahweh's kingdom. This is his kingdom. This is the characteristics of his kingdom. Love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance, sound mind. The Hasatan's kingdom. And notice that you can keep going forever with the superlatives, okay? Bitterness, cruelty, destroy, hate, malice, curiosity, envy, jealous, slander, avarice, a gain, that's seeking for a lot of gain. Covetousness, criticism, impatience, contempt, contention, quarreling, sarcasm, discord, unforgiveness, bickering, rage, treachery, spitefulness, stealing, self-hatred, bossiness, temper, agitation, suspicion, impatience, screaming, hatred of authority, and the list goes on. Watch yourself and watch people very carefully. You will see which kingdom they serve. Yahshua said in Matthew 6:19, lay not up for yourselves treasure upon the earth where moth and rust do corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven. Meaning, he's talking about principal thing, priority. Where neither moth or rust do corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. The light of the body is the eye. Did y'all hear that? The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light. Meaning that the vision, the focus, that the eye is seeing. If it's single, in a right matter, it'll be full of light. All right? But if thy eye, look at this, be what? That means your eye perceives and sees things contrary to the kingdom of Yahweh. We're not telling you to put blinders on against evil. You need to discern it. But we're talking about how your eye functions. Thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness. Now I know that sounds amazing. Think about that. The light of the body is the eye. But if your eye sees darkness only, how great is that darkness? You understand? No man can serve two masters. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve Yah and Mammon. The law, which is always right for us as Israelites. All right? Devarim 15:9 says, and this is the law, beware that there be not a thought. Notice, not a thought in thy. Notice, it's not coming from a righteous heart. It's trying to tell us which way your heart can be deceived and going. Saying, the 7th year, the year of release, is at hand. And I, here it is again, I be evil, meaning you're finding some way to take advantage of your neighbor. Does that make sense? And I'll talk about that a little bit more, because there's many ways we can take advantage of our neighbor. Number one is about not being a man or woman of our word. You understand? Yeah, it's amazing. If we were out here in the world, we know that the world is not going to give us a pass on nothing, and we're going to pay the uttermost farthing. Is that right? But then when it comes to the saints, if the saints lend to you and stuff, all of a sudden you can take advantage of, you can wait till the next time. It's not important. You don't need to pay the uttermost farthing. You understand what I mean? And that's wicked, because remember, the wicked borroweth and payeth not again. You understand what I mean? So, we have to understand what the word says. But if thy eye be evil against thy poor brother, and you give us him not, and he cry unto Yahweh. See, this is your defense right here against anytime somebody has an evil eye towards you or doing you wrong. All you have to do is cry to the Father. You cry unto Yahweh against thee, and it be sin unto thee. And that's why I tell you sisters all the time, that's one of your greatest defenses, is to cry out to the Father. Proverbs 23:6. Eat you not the bread of him that hath an evil eye. Y'all hear that? Now, eat the bread, that means even sitting with them at the fellowship or at the table with them. Neither desire thou his dainty meats. Are you follow me? I've got people all the time who have an evil eye towards me. They love inviting me to come out to eat with them, and I don't ever eat, and they never figure out why I don't go eat. You understand? They don't understand why I won't eat with them. Proverbs 23:7. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with you. Verse 9. Speak not in the ears of a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of your words. Y'all hear that? The knowing ones. Now, I got this information from Henry Wright, okay? Because he's pretty good on this spiritual warfare stuff. The knowing ones must know everything that is going on because they do not want to miss out on one bit of information. You ever known anybody like that? There's a certain spirit working. Are you following me? There's a certain spirit working. Are you listening? The knowing ones. That comes out of lust and envy and jealousy. For someone to know something about a matter when you are uninformed brings envy and jealousy. See what happens when you are so nosy and so curious about, always want to know something that's beyond your scope? Does that make sense? The knowing ones, all right? The knowing ones. They know about this, How come I didn't know about that? They didn't include me in that conversation. The knowing ones. This is coming from an envious and jealous spirit. Are you following me? Y'all listen to me. I try to protect y'all all the time, but you don't want to. The knowing ones. Looking into other people's business is rooted in not wanting to be left out. It's rooted in jealousy. This is the type of curiosity that would be meddlesome, the meddling ones. The scriptures gives instruction about meddling in other men's matter and meddling with things that are too high for you. The knowing ones. That's going to be a statement for long around here, isn't it? Looking for information to be used for future control, or perhaps future information that would feed envy and jealousy and ultimately create a root of bitterness. You hear that? Why? Because the more information we're able to attain, the more we're able to control the person. Are you following me? And the more we're able to feed others the envy and jealousy. And then helping others to create a root of bitterness. Sabotage. Comes out of retaliation and murder from that root of bitterness. When you sabotage, you are interested in destroying something of another person's reality in whatever way you can. The voice of envy and jealousy says, I do not have it. You have it. And you are not going to have it either. That's fury. That is some serious hatred. That is the voice of envy and jealousy. And that's what it says. Man's jealousy. Song of Solomon 8:6. Set me as a seal upon thine heart, as a seal upon thine arm. For love is strong as death. Jealousy is cruel as the grave. The coals thereof are coals of fire, which hath a most vehement flame. Jealousy, a burning satanic reality. This is very real, Israel. Be forewarned. Proverbs 6:34. We're going to be here for a while to break this down, okay? For jealousy is the rage of a man. Therefore, he will not spare in the day of vengeance. We're going to break down some of these sayings here, okay? You hear that? We're going to break down some of these things, okay? He will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though you give many gifts. All right? When it says that, and I'll go back here, he will not spare in the day of vengeance, this type of person works behind the scenes to do everything they can to eliminate you. This is their desire. It has become their motivation. So saints, listen very close. The eyes of these kind of people, you are to them collateral damage. You are an expendable commodity in his life. They are deceived, and they actually think that they are doing Yahweh's will. They cannot discern how the heart makes them feel. They are literally consumed. Now, how they destroy the body. Number one, they look for anyone around them that they can use to help them execute their agenda. Henceforth, messages, you need to be careful of the people who all of a sudden befriend you. Amen. Or the ones who like in your ear. All right? Number two, they will build an army of people against you And they do this by spitting lies into the ears of those who will listen to them. This is called building reinforcements. It also says, look at this, neither will he rest content. All right? If you have ever been in a courtroom and watched lawyers, their mission is to falsify the information. They use strategy to try to turn the hearts of the jurors. To them, there is no such thing as a lie. It's all about winning at all cost. Even if this means lying, cheating, and spinning the truth to make anyone see things their way. These type of people will not stop. They are offended to the max, and they cannot and will not repent. To understand, let's look into something. And we'll go back to our experience of the last wave of people that was scooped up by this storm. All secretly held envy and jealousy in their hearts. And they were all patient. And they were all patient and will be for years. Meaning they can stand around and stay around for years. Because they thought that their opportunity for destruction was working. You understand? It's working, right? The thief was working. So now listen to me. It's my job to teach you the early warning signs so that you do not know how, so that you will know how to prepare for battle. This is how I overcome. All right? And this is how I teach you to overcome. A lot of times when I preach messages, if your eye's evil, if you are conditioned because of bitterness, you will hear a certain way and see things a certain way. So when the message is there to try to save your soul from destruction, but because your hearing is impaired, you're being ministered to by the enemy now, whose voice is louder than the voice of the preachers, because there's an offense in there. No matter what he says, there's a spin to it. No matter what he says, there's an underlying motive to it. All right, no matter what he says, he's hiding something. I mean, you can't say anything. Do you get it? Huh? Now I'm speaking to that spirit because I understand its workings. You know, as a deliverance minister, I've been preaching and teaching and living this thing for 20-something years. Do you understand? So patience, listen to me. I'm giving you tactics of spiritual warfare. Patience is the key. This is how you possess your souls. You understand? This is how you possess it. One thing I do is I'm letting y'all know what I do, okay? I'm exposing myself here. I'm letting you know how I do this thing. All right? Because remember, you know, the so-called terrorists that bombed the Twin Towers, all right? It was a couple of years before the United States of America started going and blowing the hell out of a sovereign country. You follow me? I mean, so that doesn't mean that, you know, just because something warrants war, that it's time for war. You all follow me? All right. So the one thing I do is watch who will be influenced by the enemy. And for me, this is very easy to discern what's going on. You see, these people have no idea I know what they are doing. And neither will I let them know that I know what they're doing. I'm always one step ahead of them. I still hug them. I still kiss them on the neck. I still smile. I still call you brother, and I still call you sister. What I learned that attitude from? I learned it from Jesus, who loved Judas all the way to the end. But make no mistake, I'm not trying to destroy or kill you. I'm trying to gain you. But if I can't gain you, I have destruction planned for you.
Oh, yeah. Praise. Hallelujah. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Patience. They will smile at you, but they but they also have developed a distance against you. My advice is to stay the same. Continue to love them. They do not know that they're being used or deceived. Because we have these curious spirits. We're curious about everybody but ourselves. Let me say something here. I am utterly amazed at how little respect we have for saints. But we honor people in this world. You understand what I mean? Are y'all understanding? I can use 1,000 different examples here. I'll give you one example. All right, come off the top of my head right now. Let's say that I'm a deacon in the assembly and I own rental property. Okay? And I have a benevolent heart. I'll charge the world $600 a month for rent. But because you're a saint of the Most High Yah and you're in good standing, I'll say, okay, for you and your family, $300 a month. What the saints will end up doing is all of a sudden, because they do not know how to manage and budget money, all right, and they'll play on your heart as being a saint. Forget totally the instruction of the Apostle Saul, which tells us to not be slothful in business, but fervent in spirit. So what they'll do is they'll take advantage of your love, and they'll skip out on paying you. You understand what I mean? But if they were under the tutelage of the world, they know that the world is not going to hear no reprieves. All right, you follow me? You're going to pay the $600, you're going to get out. And so they're banking on your heart not to throw them out. So to them, they just got $300 more a month to spend. Y'all listen to me? That's how they do. That's how people do today. They end up taking advantage of the saints. Of course, which if you ever come to judgment me, I'll say, you're going to pay it all. You're getting out today. We're going to get a truck and we're going to get a trailer. We're going to move you out today. Swift. You understand? But that's how we do. We end up taking advantage of the people we shouldn't take advantage of. Isn't that right? Because the world, they don't care. They want their $600. But you're already getting grace when you're only paying $300. Y'all see how we do? Y'all see how we do? That's why it's hard trying to do anything for saints nowadays who have not had a converted heart. You understand? You would be able to recover and save just a few. But remember, we are at war here. Many people die in war. Are y'all hearing me? Especially in firefights. Firefights. All right? Let's look at how David handled this. Brother Shane, go to Psalms 35, verse 11. Are we going to pay attention to Dawid? Psalms 35, verse 11, okay? And we're going to start at verse 12, and verse 11, excuse me, and we'll read all the way down to the 28th verse. And we're going to listen to the words of David, okay? You know, I have said it, if I said it once, I've said it maybe 100, maybe 1,000 times over the years. If you want to know the spirit and the heart of all man, I tell you certain books to read. I only give you 2 of them. Which is what? The Psalms and the Proverbs. And now I'm going to add one. A new commandment I give unto you. Ecclesiasticus. Okay? Read Ecclesiasticus. All right? Once you understand this, you really need to truly baptize yourself. You really, truly need to immerse yourself in these writings. Because first of all, you're going to learn a lot about you. When you learn a lot about you, then you're able clearly to see all men. But you first have to have the integrity of heart to be honest with yourselves. Do you hear me? When you can do that, perfection is not far from you. Are you hearing me? Yes, sir. Read on, Brother Shane. Listen to the book.
False witnesses did rise up.
This is what David said. He says, false witnesses did rise up against me. Read on.
They laid to my charge things that I knew not.
David didn't know all this was going on in the background. Because he's the inception of this thing. He's experiencing this thing. So he's writing about it so that us, future generations, could be aware of this. You follow me? Read on. Listen.
They rewarded me evil for good.
All the good that he done. I mean, he's the king, right? So no doubt he's supplying a kingdom for the saints, right? And he's doing all this good for them. But all the good that he does, these people reward evil for his good. You know what I mean? Paul often said, if you can't know, Jesus said, if you don't believe me for my word, then believe me for the very work's sakes. Believe me for my very work's sake, because they do testify of me. That's what the Messiah said. You find it a hard Brother Brady, you find it very hard and difficult to believe what I'm saying, then pay attention to my works. They testify under what spirit I'm operating under. Are you following me? That's what Jesus was saying when he was talking to the people then. Because, I mean, he was speaking as one that had authority, and he did have authority, and these people didn't understand this kind of speech because they've been so used to being duped and mesmerized by the sweet-saying words or sweet-sounding words of the scribes and Pharisees. I mean, all their life, all they heard is hypocrites talking and stuff. And so then when this pure man shows up, revealing the secrets of man's hearts, and telling it like it is, it's like, wow, look at here. He said, now, I know he may be wrestling here, but if you can't believe what I'm saying, watch my works. They testify who I come from. Is that right? Read on.
To the spoiling of my soul.
They did all this to spoil my soul. Read on.
But as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth.
Let me modernize all this. As for me, when they were sick, they called Pastor down and I'd pray for them. All right? Read on.
I humbled my soul with fasting, and my prayer returned into my own bosom. I behaved myself as though he had been my friend or
Y'all hear that?
brother.
Look at his wisdom. He behaved himself as though he had been my what?
Friend or brother.
Or brother. You hear that? That's how he behaved himself the whole entire time. Read.
I bowed down heavily as one that mourneth for his mother.
Y'all hear that? Read.
But in my adversity, they rejoiced.
Y'all hear that? Every single time there was some type of adversity, they were back here secretly having a revival. They were rejoicing. We got them. We getting them. We got them. We getting them. Read.
And gathered themselves together, yea.
They're having fellowships and powwows, tea parties and wine parties. Read on.
The abjects gathered themselves together against me, and I knew it not. They did tear me, and cease not. With hypocritical mockers in feast.
In other words, Paul told us about this. Peter and him told about it. You know, they feast with you. They sport themselves while they feast with you. The hypocritical mockers, who they think that you don't know what's going on now. You follow me? See, David is experiencing all this. And then he writes about it. And it's up for us who have the spirit of truth and wisdom to understand his writings and teachings. So when we see this behavior taking place, we do not get taken advantage of. Are you following me? But notice, the whole time, he's not out, even in the middle of this experience, he's not trying to destroy these people. He's not trying to destroy these people at all. He said when they were sick, I prayed for them. I fasted. My prayers returned. Man, now I'll take you, I fasted, my prayers returned back in my bosom. Okay, Father, what's going on? Why ain't you hearing me on this one? You don't teach me something here. Huh? Man, we got to pay attention to this. Read on, Brother Shane.
They gnashed upon me with their teeth.
But notice they're doing this secretly at their tea parties and their wine parties, their telephone conversations and everything else. I notice I'm modernizing this, Brother Brent. All right, you've been involved in any of this? You have been slandering and speaking secretly and mocking, eating my meat and stuff, and then beating me up behind the scenes and... Brother Brent said, get back over on Brother Darrell, leave me alone. All right, read on, Brother Shane.
Yahweh, how long wilt thou look on? Rescue my soul from their destructions.
Whoa. Now David has turned his prayer to Yahweh and said, now hold on. How long are you going to look on this? I need my soul rescued from these people's destruction. You hearing that? Read.
My darling from the lions. I will give thee thanks in the great congregation.
How would he give thanks?
In the great.
In a great congregation. Can you imagine people seeing David doing this, knowing that all these secret enemies are there, conspiring against him? They can't even rejoice with him, but he's still giving thanks. You don't believe how many people I sensed this last tabernacles that had jealousy and envy in their hearts because of my worship towards the Father. Y'all know me, when I get an opportunity to worship the Father, I'm worshiping the Father. I don't care nothing about how you think, say, or look, and you can tell it too. I'm not looking for your approval at all. Hallelujah. I'll get me and brother Emmy and brother Word and brother Ron, and we'll just tear y'all all up. Oh, hallelujah. Read on.
I will praise thee among much people.
I will praise thee among much people.
Let not them that are mine enemies wrongfully rejoice over me.
Now, here's prayer. This is a prayer. Father, don't you let them who are my enemies wrongfully rejoice over me. Read.
Neither let them wink with the eye that hate me without a cause.
Y'all hear that? They hate you without a what? Why y'all think I keep saying over and over again that I got all these people out there that's hating on me, and now the one of them can tell you what I have ever done to them? Hear the noise? But for all this good, they return evil. So all I'm doing is making statements so you can understand, to know what the Proverbs are saying. Oh, you can hear all the noise. Just because somebody has an offense does not mean it's viable. I'm glad I'm not feeling it. But when you have an offense, it's real to you because you feel it. Do you understand? Y'all getting this? Is David's words making any sense to you at all? Anybody in here? Is it sinking into them skulls? Huh? Because some of you are hard heads. Read that verse again, Brother Shane. Listen to the book.
Let not them that are mine enemies wrongfully rejoice over me. Neither let them wink with the eye that hate me without a cause.
Y'all don't think I pray these things? You better believe I do. Yeah, but I'm patient. Yeah, I am too. You know, in the military, they have a special skill trade out there called sniper. Why everybody like to think and believe they're snipers, they're not. You know what I mean? And the one thing about snipers is they have to exercise great patience. Just like a hunter. You know, Elder Doug he would tell you how much patience you have to have. I mean, a sniper, he stays out there. He will sit in one place for days on end. A sniper will literally piss on himself before he will compromise his position. He will literally defecate on himself before he compromises his position in order to get the mission done. Most of you, this is well beyond your discipline. Are y'all listening to me? But see, unless these things are rehearsed in your ears, you won't understand how serious this thing is. That's why everybody can't be a sniper. And then they have to be in shape enough to be able to run miles with a heavy weapon through great terrain. It takes a lot of discipline. Are y'all listening? And the sniper and his spotter. Y'all getting it? It's great discipline right here. I use these analogies to bring about understanding, okay? Read on.
For they speak not peace, but they devise deceitful matters against them that are quiet in the land.
They devise what?
Deceitful
matters to them that are what?
quiet.
See, here you are sitting up here minding your own business. And then all of a sudden they come and start befriending you and spitting in your ear. All of a sudden they gain interest with you. How you doing? Next thing you know, when something goes inside of you, you don't know how strong you are until that temptation comes. And I would say, given the present state of us today, that ain't too many people can overcome an accusation. Uh-oh. Then the next thing you know, you find yourself in a place that you don't want to be. That knowledge comes after you experience pain and destruction. But you're in the midst of it. Let me see. How you do it? Give me some more. I want to fly like an eagle to see. And every time you need a hit, they come around to confirm the poison that they've already inserted in you. Now you hooked. Now you seek them out. What's new? What else you got to say? Your spirit changes from joy to heaviness. Your laughter to mourning. Are y'all listening?
Yes, sir.
Mind you, you was fine. You was fine as long as you was listening to the preacher. You're rejoicing. All of a sudden, you done lost a step. Now you done lost 2 steps. Now you lost 3. Now you have no steps. So you have to pay attention to your nature. See how it's been affected. Read.
Yea, they opened their mouth wide.
Wide they opened their mouth.
And said, aha, aha, our eye has seen it.
Ah, look at that. I have seen it. Yo, I ain't seen a damn thing. You liar. Aha, aha, I have seen it. Huh? Ain't that right? All you out there who love spying on liberties and stuff. Don't you do the same thing? Aha! Aha! I have seen it. But you know, Pastor Dowell is educating the saints of the Most High to keep their eye on you, the transgressor. See, this is how you cut off the voice of the enemy, is through knowledge. Are y'all hearing this? When you are aware of his workings, are you following me? When you see them, you're like, okay, here we go. We're at war again. We're at war again. Most people don't take it like that. They just functioning, just living through life. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future is ours to see. Que sera, sera. Y'all know y'all want to bust a gut. Go ahead. Try to hold it in. Huh? But those of us who are watchmen, posted on guard with, See, they go around, they develop their army, but they don't have any idea that I'm developing mine. Yeah, I am. I first go, I see movement. I see movement. Delta Bravo 5-3, Delta Bravo 5-3. This is Charlie Delta 4-8. You know what I'm doing, don't you? This is Pastor Dow calling El Doug. Well, sure you make it up. There's movement. Oh, there's movement. Huh? Yeah, unusual movement. All right, keep a watch. Military tacticians. I tell you, the military helps greatly. It really does, depending on where you're at in the military. It does help greatly.
It does.
Yes, it does, too. I'm telling you, I'm glad for my training that as many times I was put out in an airplane where I didn't see nothing but trees as far as the eyes could see. And his little bitty old drop zone ain't bigger than his land and stuff. And then I had to navigate myself and my team to a certain point. And all I seen from up above was trees. I'm looking for reference points, lakes, you know what I mean, buildings and nothing. I don't see nothing but trees. We got there because we were trained. Y'all get that? You're supposed to be training up a child. Mm-hmm. Yes, you are. Hallelujah. Read on.
This thou hast seen, O Yah. Keep not silence. O Yah, be not far from me. Stir up thyself and awake to my judgment.
Y'all hear that? In other words, Father, now you judge me in this matter. You stir. No, hold on. Let's stop playing games. If I'm this, if I'm that, you stir up yourself. I want your judgment. I do not want to fall in the hands of man. I want to fall in your hands. Judge me. Hallelujah. Read on.
Even unto my cause, my Elohim and my master. Judge me, O Yahweh my Elohim, according to thy righteousness, and let them not rejoice over me.
Y'all hearing that? Judge me according to thy righteousness, and let them not rejoice over me. Read.
Let them not say in their hearts, ah, so would we have it. Let them not say, we have swallowed him up.
Y'all hear that? And whatever they have meant, let it not come to pass. Read on.
Let them be ashamed and brought to confusion together, that rejoice at mine hurt.
You see what David doing? He's depending upon the Mashiach. He's dependent upon Yah. Yeah, he is, but he's talking to him. He's not down here warning, fighting with these men and stuff. He's going straight to the Father that will judge his cause and his righteousness. Are you following me? And he's also asking for them to be confused and confounded. You hear that? Let confusion be upon them. Are you following me? Read on.
Let them be clothed with shame and dishonor.
Let them be clothed with what?
Shame and dishonor.
Shame and dishonor. That's what you saw up here. Just get the funny brain out of the well. You saw confusion and shame. Now, I know you all here sitting there looking at it wondering what in the world is that, but I'm watching this thing being played out, just like the book says. Father, I need to know the main ones that are really putting the thrust and energy behind this, so I want confusion. I loose confusion upon them in Jesus' name. I want shame to come to them in Jesus' name. And so when I see all this, get the funny brain out of the well, I'm looking at this one. I'm going, whoop, there it is. There it is. Y'all see what I mean by hide thy word? That's what the book says. When I'm quoting it. Hide thy word in thy heart so that you don't sin against him. So I'm watching all this. I'm watching all these people give themselves up. Read on.
That magnify themselves against me.
That magnify themselves against me. Come on.
Let them shout for joy and be glad that favor my righteous cause.
Y'all hear that? But the saints of the Most High, they are unaffected. They keep on shouting. They keep on there full of joy the whole time. Why? That's what do you think that was going on? I said, who's with me? All of a sudden, you hear all these brothers saying, I'm with Pastor. Y'all didn't know all this? Oh, see, now it's starting to make sense, though, now, right? Because I'm explaining everything that took place. But remember, all this taking place because of bitter envy and jealousy. Every bit of it. And these brothers, by their own admission, stood up and gave a testimony and said, I'm with Pastor. The ones that favor the cause. I wouldn't expect the ones who ain't never favored my cause to ever get up and say nothing. I wasn't expecting Ed to say nothing. Ed ain't going to say nothing. He didn't even come to Bible study. Scripture study, he didn't call. He showed up. You ain't expecting him. He's sitting back buying his time waiting. Thinking that I don't know what's going on. I can call names all day long too. I can tell you exactly what they were saying, what they were doing, their nature, their character, who houses they've been over, where they've been, their footprint, their footstep. A little bird was spitting in my ear secretly. Damn, I feel like we're in Rome again. Everybody's after Caesar and stuff, and Caesar cutting off their heads. Except this, you ain't getting me because I ain't Caesar. All this treachery. Is this account beginning to jump off the pages, though? Read.
Let them say continually, let Yahweh be magnified, which hath pleasure in the prosperity of his servant.
Y'all hearing that? Yahweh have pleasure in the prosperity of his servant. That's why I keep saying, you people, you know how many people have been waiting for me to fall, whatever that is? Hold your breath. You'll be waiting a long time. Either way, Yahweh is my defense. I keep telling y'all wait, man, you have no idea. I'm going to sit and watch my enemies fall. Every one of them. And have done it. I'm watching this body count just continue to keep going up. I learned all this by reading the writings. I keep telling y'all listen to me, Israel. You want to know all men, read this book and let it enter into your heart. You don't have to worry about when something is going awry, something's not going right. Is that this? Is that that? Yahweh's going to bring it to your remembrance. But he can't bring something to your remembrance if it's not entered into your heart in the first place. You haven't taken the righteous step and the painstaking task to hide his word in your heart. So why would he recall something that's not hidden? It can't be recalled. The word says, study to show thyself approved. That's what it says. That's what it says. How do you think the word gets in you? When you obey what it says. You're in confusion and you're in a disarray when all these things are taking place because you don't know his word. How can you function by his word when his word is not in you? How can you discern what's right from wrong? We're living in a world today that's literally calling wrong right and right wrong. Literally. How you know good from evil when you don't know his word? You ever heard me make this statement? I'm too strong for you. Be strong in Yahweh and in the power of his might. That's where his strength is. All my help coming from Yahweh who made heaven and earth. You ever hear this before? You don't operate in your own strength because you have none. You breathe the same breath. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Eat the same foods as everybody else. You're going to have to depend on your salvation. Your deliverer. See, so while you people think I'm so militant and want to always go out and shoot somebody, I just killed a lot of folk and didn't have to fire one shot across the bow. All I did was submit thyself to thy righteousness, which is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Then I sit back and watch. Because this is a war. In this war, don't you think for 1 minute this war is supposed to take place outside of our camp. Outside of the gate. There's nothing from without that can destroy us. Only that which is. Now what we need to do is guard ourselves of, the leaflets that fall down from the sky. Yeah, it's called propaganda. Surrender straightway. We're going to get you. You have to be careful of all the communication that's trying to enter in. This is war. This is little, but this war is out for your soul. Y'all hear me, Israel? And this is a very serious Very, very serious thing. Some of these people were filled with the Holy Spirit. Now they no longer keep his law. You hear me? Some of these people were delivered and had spirits cast out of them and were doing good for a while. Now they speak against deliverance, committing blasphemy. Some of these people we develop soul ties with and watch the pain of watching them literally being rent from us simply because they refuse to submit to biblical terms. Even when you made a petition trying to gain them back again, it wasn't enough. They were already turned over. I mean, we've lost some saints, but remember, you're going to lose good men in war as well as bad. And some of these saints were some good people we just literally we lost. Oh, hallelujah. It's just true. Because these people do not discern when they're being used by the enemy. Read on, Brother Shane.
And my tongue shall speak of thy righteousness and of thy praise all the day long.
And what has continually come out of my mouth? Preaching of his righteousness and his praise all the day long. Just like a tree planted by the water, I shall not be moved. I got a river of life flowing out of me. Makes the lame to walk and the blind to see. Opens prison's doors and set the captives free. I've got a river of life flowing out of me, and this well continues to keep springing up. Hallelujah. That's called Yahshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ. And notice it also says that this particular person right here will not regard any ransom. Y'all hear that? This means this kind of man will not let you off the hook no matter what. People who are jealous are not interested in reconciliation. You can try to give them gifts to show them that you are not against them. You can pour out your heart and they will eat your lunch. Then they will take your gifts. And inside their heart, they're saying, look at this fool. They are possessed by a very powerful, evil spirit. And some of you people that sit in these home fellowships and communities are possessed, a few of you possessed by the same spirit. And we're going to get you unless you get this spirit out of you. I will remove you away from the congregation of the righteous. Oh, hallelujah. They are not interested in any solution whatsoever at all. They are not interested in any reconciliation. They are possessed by bitterness, anger, wrath, and rage. This is their motivation. And these people will simply not rest. Not contently they won't. He will not rest until, look at this, you are finished and utterly destroyed in his eyes. They will use everything at their disposal, including the word, to try to destroy you because Yahweh is not with them. What I mean including the world. They will use everything at their disposal, including the world. See, when they can't do nothing to you spiritually in the word, then they'll try to go out there and invoke the world to try to come get you because they have no power and strength of their own. So they go and try to depend on the powers that be, the world. Let me give y'all a secret. I'm going to tell y'all something. Can I tell y'all something up here? The world don't give a damn about what we doing. You go to them and they already corrupt. They already full of iniquity and stuff. They're going to look at you and go, you fool. The world don't care two dead flies or two farts about what we doing. Paul said you'll run before the unjust and not the saints. Isn't that amazing? When you have a matter against another. That's what the instructions say you do. Yeah, you will. And the reason why you go to the world, because you don't feel like you're going to get any justice with the saints, simply because the people are not going to judge according to your way. So we run around and scurry around looking for somebody to agree, I'm serious. This is real, Israel. This is real. Are y'all doing all right? Good. Y'all hope y'all doing all right. When they see and when they hear, it is with a different set of eyes and a different set of ears. Do y'all hear me? When they see and when they hear. All right, let's deal with the word scorner. Okay? Let's deal with the word scorner. Your protection is to follow the instructions, Israel, the rules and the guidelines. Do not think for 1 minute your wicked heart is more wiser than the word, which is written. Open your heart, if you will, but you will be destroyed in the end if you continue to give place to these spirits. Are you following me? A scorner will twist everything you say in the ears of others. Are you following me? A scorner will always seek to tear you down and destroy you. A scorner will say, I knew it. I told you it was so. Y'all hearing this? You can accept blame when you're trying to gain someone. You can put on sackcloth and ashes. You can rent your garments. You can roll around in the dirt. You can cry. You can say, forgive me. You can cry in bitter utter pain. You can tell them you win. It's never enough. Not for the scorner. It's not enough for these people to be right. Not a scorner. It's not enough for them to win the argument. Not a scorner. It's not enough for you to accept blame in order to keep peace. There's no way you can appease a scorner. Go to Romans, the 3rd chapter, start at verse 12, Brother Shane, and read to verse 18 so we can see what really truly is going on. Boy, it's quiet in here today, isn't it? I mean, I expect it. Every time I talk about spiritual warfare, it gets really quiet. You know, when are people going to have some sense to say, you know what, Pastor Dow preaches and teaches on this stuff, so man, he's got to be better equipped than a psychologist PhD. Got to be. Yahweh's wisdom is always above this world. Y'all hearing? Romans 3 verse 12, read, Brother Shane.
They are all gone out of the way.
They all are gone out of the way. Footprint, footstep, watch.
They all together become unprofitable.
They all together have become unprofitable. They don't even produce anymore. Nothing. Read on.
There is none that doeth good, no, not one.
We understand this, right? There's not one that doeth good, no, not one. But listen in context of what we read, and listen, read.
Their throat is an open sepulchre.
Their throat is an open grave. Their throat is. It speaks nothing but of death. The whole entire time. No life, only death. Just death, 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 death. You know, I like the lily in the valley. There's a lily, my Lord, in the valley. Found it to be bright as the morning star. There is a lily in the valley. Thank you, Jesus, bright as the morning star. There is a lily in the valley, bright as the morning star. Say amen, amen, amen. Come on, y'all, come on, go with me, boy. Hey, hey, hallelujah. Brother Brett don't know what to think. It's always peace in the valley. Hey, I better watch it now. I'm telling you, man, I know how to get apostolic real quick. I put it on you. You think it's the spirit of y'all. It's just nothing but the spirit of man going out. It's still a good song. Hallelujah. I'd rather be in a valley where there's lilies than a valley full of cow poop. I mean, it may do something good, open up your senses and stuff, especially if you're clogged up. You know, you got irritation there, itching, sinuses burning and carrying on. Read on, Brother Shane.
With their tongues they have used deceit.
With their tongues, look what they've done. They have used deceit. Used deceit. Meaning these people are very informed about what they're doing. Are you following me? See, this is what happens when you're given over to a spirit, though. Everything changes. Your whole perspective, your whole viewpoint, everything. I ain't done nothing to offend you, but you're going to make an offense now. Your brother and sister ain't done nothing to you, but now all of a sudden you're at war with them. Read.
The poison of asp.
The poison of asp. Read on.
Is under their lips. Whose mouth is full of cursing.
Their mouth is full of what?
Cursing.
See, people think, they don't know. America, you do not know what cursing is. No, you don't. I'm not saying you go out and use these words that as a majority are not really socially acceptable by the masses and stuff, but you don't know what cursing is. You have no idea what cursing is. And yet and still, many of you every day are cursing Yah, and you're cursing your fellow man. Real true curses, what the book says. Read on.
Whose mouth is full of cursing.
Full! And when it's full, there's no room for anything else. Read.
Of cursing and bitterness.
And what?
Bitterness.
And bitterness.
Their feet are swift to shed blood.
Their feet are what?
Swift.
To shed blood. Feet are swift. Like little slithering snakes. Read on.
Destruction and misery are in their ways.
Now, is this the fruit of the Spirit? Huh? Is it? This the fruit of the Spirit? This ain't no fruit of the Spirit. No, Mike Rebound didn't have no fruit of the Spirit. You can look at him. No fruit of the Spirit. Utter confusion. Read on.
And the way of peace.
And the way of what?
Way of peace.
Way of peace. Watch this.
Have they not known?
They don't even know it.
There's no fear of Yah before their eyes.
There's no what?
Fear of Yah.
Before their what?
Eyes.
Now, the key verse I want to center attention on is verse 16. Destruction and misery are in their ways. They can't cover it up. Have you ever seen a painful smile? Am I the only one that's ever seen a painful smile? You know, when people are smiling, but you see all this pain in it. I see you trying to go through the motions, but your countenance is giving it up. Yeah. Read on. Hold on, don't read. In their eyes, their attitude is, because they're influenced by the Spirit, you are going to pay. You are going to be destroyed. This is a scorner. They don't care if you're a man of Yah. They don't care if you're next to the Father. You have to be eliminated. You have to be trashed. Proverbs 27 verse 3 says, a stone is heavy and the saying weighty. But a fool's wrath is heavier than them both. Wrath is cruel, and anger is outrageous. But who is able to stand before envy? Open rebuke is better than secret love. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. Listen, saints, with these kind of people, y'all forbid, if you ever admit, I don't think these people are ever going to admit that they have a problem. I really too don't believe it. I can see acute problems, where people would, okay, I fell at that. Let me shake myself and come up out of it. But those that are 100% engaged, this is spiritual. This principality is roaring. I mean, it's done gained too much strength, too much steam. It's like going down a 13% grade. I mean, it is powerful. But notice, these people can only get those who have kindred spirits. That means if you're full of covetousness, you're full of envy, you're full of bitterness, you're full of jealousy, that's the only way them the only people they can get. So if you have had your ear spit into, then you need to know that you just got finished being told about something told about yourself that you may not have been aware of. Because these people, they know who to go and talk to. They don't go talk to everybody. No, they don't. They know who they can get in with and who they can't get in with. Yeah, they do too. They don't go talk with everybody. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yeah, they do too. They're okay, I know I can get that one. They calculate you because they watch you with an evil eye. Because they'll look at El Don and say, well, we ain't going to talk to him because we ain't getting nowhere right there. They'll look at Daryl and we got him. We got him. We got him hook, line, and sinker. And they look like he got him and stuff, and Daryl like, okay. Because he is a mercenary. Daryl just want to cut somebody's head off. But I'm telling you, they size people up. And they look at your weakness. Come on, the devil is a formidable foe. Yes, sir. He's a tactician, a military tactician. Who you think Alexander the Greek was empowered by? You folks better wake up. He always promised all these rulers one thing, the world. Same thing he tried to do with the Messiah. The Messiah said, you can take your world and shove it up your ass. How about that? My kingdom's coming. And my kingdom right now is in the heart of men. You got that right. I'm telling you, wait till we see Jesus. You're going to find out he wasn't this little flower child, long-haired faggot. No, you ain't. You're going to look at him and go, now that is a man. That's what you're going to look at. Yeah, And it's going to enter in your mind. You know, Pastor Dow told me that he was like that. Oh, hallelujah. But this Hasatan boy, he is something. You know, in the world, they have a saying. It's not a biblical saying. It's just a worldly saying. But there's some merit to it. It says, birds of a feather flock together. And notice, this is just not a few. This is a flock. Y'all getting this? Hallelujah. Israel, I'm only interested and I'm only concerned about you. Are y'all following me? But we do truly need to know our enemy. Do not look at people as the source of all things. Yahweh is. So when these people are full of bitterness and full of envy and stuff, that's because they believe that you have some type of influence on their life. And you're some type of source or substance for their lives, but the Father is. Are y'all hearing me? Huh? When you look at people in idolatry, Yahweh in his jealousy withdraws from you. When you look at people in idolatry, Yahweh in his jealousy withdraws from you. You know, if you're going to make people your idol, you're going to make your opinion your idol, you're going to exalt your opinion above Yahweh's word. Are you following me? I mean, that's what this subject of polygyny is all about. People think it's all about the actual carrying forth and doing this in itself. But it's already etched in stone. It's already written. There are thousands of people all across this world. There's already millions, hundreds of millions. So that ain't even the issue. The problem is you in agreement with Yah and his word. The Antichrist is the one who opposes his word. Every time. Y'all got it? I'm serious. This thing is bigger than what you people think. It really, truly is. See, and you make an idol of your opinion, and you put your opinion above Yah's word. And Yahweh, what he does in his jealousy, he withdraws from you and he releases you to serve the evil spirit of jealousy. And he said, well, go ahead. Remember, go and serve the one you serve while on earth. What did he do with Israel when Israel continued to keep spurning him? He gave them over. You want to serve them? Good. Go ahead. Oh, hallelujah. Yahweh will not share you with another. He will give you over. He's not about a bunch of people. He's only about a few. This evil spirit is no respecter of persons. It will attack those close to you. It will take those who say they love you and make them hate you instantly. Just that quick. They'll say they love you and they'll show years of love and stuff, and all of a sudden they'll hate you instantly. But this is what you really truly need to know. Spiritual warfare is not enjoyable, but we must fight this fight. It's all our war. See, this is not done with guns, knives, swords, and spears. 2 Corinthians 10:4 says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, ye suppose, but they're mighty through Yah to pulling down the strongholds. You need to actually questioning yourselves, did these people really truly ever love you to begin with if love could easily be changed? You understand? So the weapons, we have weapons of this warfare, and they are not made with man's hands. There's nothing carnal about them, but they're mighty through Yah to pulling down the strongholds. And here it is, casting down what? Imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of Yah. And this is what we don't do today, and bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. We don't test people's words or saying. We don't test and try thoughts. Well, I don't know why we don't do it, but for some reason we just don't do it. We need to start doing it. Especially if you want peace. There's no peace to the wicked. And having in a readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled. The only way you can be ready is if you have the knowledge of Yah. You're not going to fight against any spirits and stuff on your own volition, your own word and stuff. You want to use the same word that Jesus used. It is written, it is written, it is written. 1 Timothy 1:18 says, this charge I commit unto thee, son Timothy, according to the prophecies which was before on thee, that you by them might as war, look at this, a good warfare. Our people at this time, we had no power, strength, and might. We was in captivity. We wasn't going around slaying people by the sword. We were running and hiding in caves, in mountains. You understand? So he's got to be talking about something else other than physical. Do you understand? Verse 19, holding faith and a good conscience, which some having, look what they done with this conscience. They put a, what they do with this conscience? They just put this good conscience up concerning faith, have made shipwreck. Now, when you just look at the word shipwreck, that doesn't sound like anything pleasant. Remember Gilligan's Island? They were shipwrecked. Okay. Now y'all getting it, right? 1 Timothy 1:20. Of whom is Hymenaeus and Alexander. Now wait a minute. You mean tell me Paul is committing a charge to Timothy, and then he's using the names of people who have been instrumental in doing this? Because I submit to you that if he didn't use the names, the people wouldn't be able to connect the dots. They wouldn't be able to put two and two together, because some people ain't that spiritual, they can read between lines. They just simply got to be told. Does that make sense? They just simply have to be told. And so Paul did not waste any time in telling Timothy exactly who it was. Of whom Hymenaeus and Alexandria, and look at Paul, whom I, and today we will say, who do you think you are? I don't think myself above that which is written, but I'll do that which is written. Look what Paul says, whom I have delivered unto Satan. So while these people are speaking out curses and throwing out all these words in the air, what's really truly going on is that they're invoking and inviting demonic spirits to go and to oppress you. And they send these thoughts out against you. And they are there to affect your nature, to affect your character. Are you following me? And all you have to do is pay attention and be discerning to your own spirit. Let me see. If you're not walking in the fruit of the Spirit, then something is wrong. It's that simple. Love, joy, and peace. If you're experiencing oppression, depression, misery, when you going to wake up? Wake the hell up. You can understand you're under spiritual attack. Every single word that is sent out against you, there's an evil spirit behind it. And there's an agenda behind it, and there's power behind these words. Don't tell me life and death is in the power of the tongue. And they that love it, that's what it said, life or death. It didn't discriminate. This world was framed by a word that was spoken. And there's a lot of power in your words. You either going to invoke the kingdom of Yahweh, or you're going to invoke the kingdom of Satan. And I submit, you cannot serve two masters. So Paul, he turned around and called the names of the people who had these evil influences on them, on the saints, instructing Timothy, and then he tell them exactly, this is the reason why I turned them over to Satan, so that they may learn not to blaspheme. Hoping that there is any Holy Spirit working in your heart. If there's any conviction that you will fall down on your face, fall down on your knees, repent, and turn from your wicked ways. But we're dealing with a cold, cruel, and hard generation. That's what we're dealing with, a very obstinate generation. Yes, we are too. We're dealing with a generation that have dug in their heels. And they're digging in even deeper. And they are not going to repent. You know, it continues to keep entering my mind how shaken that man was, because he had a few faggot friends. Y'all didn't see that silent and how that rocked him? First he said, let's go there, let's go there, let's go. Oh, you know, open up, you did it, now let's go. And then all of a sudden we start saying, bam! It's like somebody took his breath away from him. Bam! Y'all have to listen to that thing again. Y'all have to really listen to that thing again. It so was, wasn't it? I'm sitting up there wondering, did he die? What happened to him? That's what happens when you go out and tap dance with the world. A friend of this world is an enemy with Yah. That's right. That didn't come from my opinion. That came from the word. And my opinion is of the word, though. I agree with the word. Is that not amazing? That guy, man, he was stacking. I hope he does is dissolve these unions. Because don't sit up and tell me you disagree with it, then all of a sudden I speak against it, you agree with it. All men's heart are going to be tested, proven, and tried. That's why I said the difference between you and I, you're a reporter and I'm a preacher. That's a big difference. Hallelujah. So Paul turned him over to Satan so they may learn not to blaspheme. Question. How can you love someone and then hate them, or else you did not love them to begin with? Isn't that true?
Yes, sir. That's true.
Yeah, that's true. Romans 6:17 says, now beseech you, brethren, mark them. Do what? And that don't mean take a Sharpie and put a check mark on them either. Mark them which cause divisions. Why are you people out there so apprehensive in doing this? Why we open garbage cans for all these people, and when these people are speaking this evil behind the scenes, why come you're not going around and telling all the saints? Where's the warning of the saints? Hey, saints, I want you to know what this person is saying. What happened to shouting it to the rooftop? What happened to the protection and the love of the brethren? Why the evil constantly has to flourish behind the scenes as it continues to keep picking off one by one the souls that are weak?
That's right.
You have to understand, my job is to guard the whole. If one goes astray, I'll try to go get him. Yeah, we all go through a few steps and stuff, but when that book is gone, gone. But I'm beginning to wonder, why is it that amongst us as true Israelites that we do not go around and warn all the saints the wolf is in the camp? I see the wolf. The wolf is here. You better pay attention. Look at them. That's them right there. Why is that? Is that something? Is that something that the residue from Christianity? Is that what that is? Gotta be, because it ain't a Hebraic warrior type soul. No, in the spirit is. That's something left over from Christianity. We don't want to offend. Well, hell, you already offended, and you're offended by not warning. The prophets even said, when you refuse to warn the wicked, and this wicked don't turn from his wicked ways, and he dies, his soul, his blood is going to be required of thee. And you're going to die in your sin as well. That's what the prophet says. But when you warn the righteous, and the righteous turns from his wicked way, then you have delivered him and you have delivered your soul. Most of you don't love yourself. You sit up here and listen to all this shit, and you sit up and watch these people fall, and you're going to sit back and think that you're clean when all these people fall, and come judgment day, your ass going to be turned away. Because you fail to warn the wicked and you fail to warn the righteous. So their souls is going to be required at your hand. Am I making this stuff up? I thought we knew the book. I thought we knew the book. How is it that all this stuff escapes us when we are involved in these wars? I'll tell you why. Because you haven't truly hid his word in your heart. Because if you hid his word in your heart, you will know how to function right. You ain't got to worry about it. You already act right. You will do right. Because his word is already hidden in there. It's a governor on you. You can only go a certain way. Now you tell me if an assembly or a home assembly, if everybody starts getting behind this word and doing exactly what it says, tell me how the devil gonna flourish. And give no place to the devil. Tell me how the devil gonna flourish then. Huh? Uh-oh. Boy, it's quiet in here now, isn't it? I know why it's quiet, because some of you have been touched by this spirit and never warned. I told you I pay attention to things you do and you don't do. When you acknowledge the truth, when you don't acknowledge the truth. Oh yeah, I watch. Yes, I do too. But the instruction is, I beseech you, brother, I'm begging you. That's what that word means. Beseech means begging. I'm invoking you. I'm inviting you. I want you to really listen to what I'm saying. I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the teaching. That's doctrine, which is teaching, which you have learned, and do what with them? Ostracize them from your company. Shun them. But every time they come around, what's the latest, brother? Isn't that true? I'm asking you, Israel. I know you've heard this stuff more than once. Why does the word escape you? Why does it escape you? Why does the function of his word escape you? A righteous man's steps are ordered by the Most High. Isn't that right? He put your foot down and your foot will never slip. That's what he says. So the sole of your foot will not slip. And we slipping and we sliding, we doing. See, this spirit is nothing to play with. You know, as a pastor, do you know I get to hear a lot of things about you? And I tell you what I do. If it persists, after I get finished rebuking them, then I'll say, I tell you what, come on. They never even know. Hey, let's go for a walk. Hey, didn't you just tell me this about Brother Darrell? Brother, what? I set them up for the juggler. I'm going to go for the juggler right then and there. They think we just going for a walk. We're going to talk. Hey, Pastor, going to spend some time with me. We going to talk. So we're going to spend some time with you. We're going to spend some good time with you. And all of a sudden, we're going to find our way to the person you offended with. That's brotherly love. For they that are such serve not our King Jesus Christ. Now I know y'all find that hard to believe. But I don't care what you say. You can be fond of them, you can love them, they can be kissing cousins and brothers and nephews, nieces, uncles, feetmen, footmen, and everything else. But the bottom line, you need to mark them. They cause divisions that are contrary to the doctrine and which you have learned, and you need to avoid them. Because these type of people are such that serve not our King Jesus Christ. I don't care how much tongues they speak in. I don't care how many commandments they keep. I don't care how faithful they are coming to Shabbat services. I don't care how much deliverance they got. I don't none of this. They cause offenses, and divisions that are contrary. They serve not our King Jesus Christ. But their service is to their own belly. And they get you by flattery, good words and fair speeches. They deceive you simple-minded people. That's the book. See, the reason why it takes preaching, though, he chose by the foolishness of to save them the ones that believe. Y'all getting it? These instructions are the way of life. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. Bet y'all didn't know I could hit that one, did you? Where he leads you, you going to follow? I'll go with him all the way. For a reason. All this for a reason so we get to the kingdom, right? Oh, you may look for me and I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. And you may look for me and I'll be there. Oh, glory to his name. And you may look for me and I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. And you may look for me and I'll be there. Oh, glory to his name. Hey, when the battle's over, we shall wear a crown. We shall wear a crown. We shall wear a crown. Oh, when the battle's over, we shall wear a crown in the new Jerusalem. Wear a crown. Wear a crown. Wear a bright and shiny crown. Hey! Oh, when the battle's over, we shall wear a crown in the new Jerusalem. So Israel, don't be simple. Don't allow by good words and fair speeches. Don't let them deceive the hearts of the simple. One bad fruit will corrupt the whole. They must be removed. If you got a big old bin of apples and you take one corrupt apple and put it dead center, you're going to spoil something good. You getting ready, and especially, watch this, if you let it just sit there for a period of time. And seeing what we have a problem with is calling that which is bad, bad. A good tree cannot bring forth bad fruit. And a bad tree cannot bring forth good fruit. And by their fruits you shall know them. Are we going to continue to let this slip? Huh? Y'all understand this? The corrupt the whole, that's what they would do, must be removed. That one bad, it's got to be removed. That's just the principles of life right there, all right? Saints, we must be honest with ourselves and to mark division makers, troublemakers, and people behind the scenes who are trying to stir up bitterness, envy, jealousy, because they are like rotten fruit. Ezekiel 8:5, then said he unto me, Son of man, lift up thine eyes now, the way towards the north. So I lifted up my eyes the way towards the north, and behold, northward at the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy. Where was it at? In the entry. Right there at the gate. Y'all pay attention to the doorways of your heart. Y'all hear me? Psalms 119, 165. Great peace. And envy and jealousy robs peace. Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. Yeah, what they doing this, what they doing that, talk to the Father then. But great peace, and I don't care what everybody else doing, but great peace have they which love your law. See, that's an automatic. Great peace to they which love thy law. Great peace have they which agape thy law. Great peace have they which love thy law. And remember, there's no peace to the wicked. And nothing, and nothing, and nothing. And some of you are secretly offended because you don't love his law. You don't submit to it. And nothing, and nothing shall offend them. Y'all getting this? It's beautiful, isn't it? Let me tell you something. Bitterness is a chief principality. Envy and jealousy is right there because they even network with them. But you're dealing with the big boys. These are the big boys because they pollute your ears and they pollute your eyes and they pollute your speech. Anyone that gets affected by this, everything changes about them. Yeah, it does. Everything changes about them. As much as I love Brother Darrell, there's nothing in the world I can do to stop him from sinning. If he sins, I hope that he remember he got an advocate with the Father. Hallelujah. But I don't think he's living life to sin. But of course then that's all predicated upon your book of the law though, isn't it? Because somebody could be living the way you don't think they should be living. They could be wrong in your book. Why? You're one to serve your own belly. That's the problem. Yeah, it is. That is the problem. Now, amazing. We live in a generation where they don't know right from wrong. They don't know good from evil. But yet and still, these people are going to turn around and make up a book and make their own law, which is called My Belly. And they're going to go and irritate everybody else who don't function according to Brent, chapter 2, verse 7. Amazing, isn't it? It's ridiculous. It's sad to say that we live in a time now where there's more tolerance for homosexuals than there are for people who choose to live a biblical lifestyle. You tell me what's wrong with your mind. Because the scriptures is clear that mankind should not lie with mankind as it does with woman, and all that do so are an abomination. See, now we're judging the lawgiver. Whew. Tell you, man is pretty arrogant, pretty haughty, pretty evil. But you, Israel, you need to start cutting off these mouths that turn around and spit on you that cause division. You know what the Bible says? We're supposed to have fervent charity amongst ourselves. Do y'all understand that? That means when you look at your brother and sister, your eye is supposed to be tender towards them. You're supposed to have a fondness in your heart towards your people. You get it? Why y'all think I get upset, especially when I see or hear anyone making a threat on our daughters of Zion in any way, shape, fashion, or form? It's just something just zzz. Y'all getting this? Part of the curses over in Deuteronomy 28 is when you have a wife and then she ends up being jealous of you. Women especially have to be careful. Because y'all makeup is feelings and emotions. Men, they feel and they have emotions too. Yeah, they do. But y'all giving over to them. And y'all need to know, you truly need to know your hearts. Because you can have a lot of sway on people who don't know how to function after this book. You could have so much influence on a man, he could care less if you are right or wrong, but just for the mere fact you are crying, that will get them. Yeah, it will too. It will get them. Your defense, especially sisters, is the Most High. Y'all hear me? Because all the peace that this world is trying to offer, you're going to find out they don't have none. Their laws, they do not bring peace. They don't bring happiness. The only thing that brings peace and happiness is his law. That's the only thing that brings peace and happiness. You go contrary to that, you're going to experience the fruit of this life. It's just a fact, Israel. We can't improve on what is already written. We can only get with the program. But this spirit is tenacious. It's very tenacious. And the whole ideal of this spirit is this, is to remove your focus and your attention off the Father onto man. Because if you notice, your relationship with the Father starts to suffer at one slander. The Apocrypha said, what, a slander of the city is one of the things that he hates. Y'all getting this? The whole idea of this spirit is to remove your attention off the Father, put your attention on it, so you can start looking at man who is imperfect. I don't know why we said and view man as if they are perfect, and then we fall all out all over the place and stuff when they don't meet the Bible conditions, when they're in the same war as we are. What hypocrites we are. Well, I expected better of them. Well, when you going to start? Hypocrite, expect more of you. You know things are bad when we live in a world that the Ten Commandments are now evil. This is the world that we live in. The Ten Commandments are literally evil. Because this world is not interested in spirituality. They don't want no influence of no deity. That's how they put it. That's why they have a plethora of gods. They got a God for everything. Because each God allows them to do what the flesh wants them to do. But we have one. And our job is to hear, O Israel, Yahweh thy Elohim is. I mean, I know exactly what to do to preserve and to protect. Whether you take it or not is another story. And y'all happy about today's service, man? Didn't start off blasting everybody. Y'all should be able to take a deep breath. Y'all missed Torah portion. Brother Eric over there is probably kicking a trash can because he didn't get Torah portion out there in Nebraska. He said, man, that's what I live for. But let me tell you something. You don't have peace in your life. You're going to make some changes. And some of those changes mean you're going to put away from you some of the people that are not bringing. Because this life is too short to be experiencing all this misery, all this hell, and all this heartache, and all this pain. Why waste days on Satan's kingdom when you can be building in Yah's kingdom? Oh, did y'all hear the reporter last night? Man, I like the way you always use the Bible. He was on the road there for a while, wasn't he? And you, sister, that have been listening to me for 4-something years. 4-something. Now, you have to understand, I'm over here on the Chad factor, okay? And I don't know nothing about this. And this sister's over there on that, and she's been listening to me for 4-something years. And when I hear that, I go, what in the world are you doing? Are we that bad of people that it's hard to make yourself known? We had a wonderful time at the Feast of Tabernacles. Man, did we have a time. We had Feast of Tabernacles better than going to the club. Ain't no frat party got anything on us. We were rejoicing. Man, were we rejoicing, wasn't we? We'd having a good time. And we didn't have the cheap drinks either. We drank the good stuff. What's amazing to me is how y'all brothers already know what good stuff was. I went down there and looked in the cooler and all the good stuff was sucked up. That's something when you turning away Heineken and Corona. They just turning up their nose at it. They chose to wait out and not even drink it. Looked at it with disdain. What are you going to do? I'm going to wait till my change comes. What are you going to wait for? I'm waiting till tomorrow. I'm going to bed. You just seen how many people turn around and made comments because they seen the brother with a beer or some wine in their hand. Is that wine? Is that beer? Now wait a minute. If they called Jesus a wine bibber, somebody interpret that for me. I mean, interpret that for me, please. A wine bibber. That means he had to be drinking wine. Well, the Seventh-day Adventist, he drank grape juice. People are not going to sit at no feast and just tank up on grape juice. You see what religion would do? The Bible says he turned the water into grape juice. Is that what it says? He turned the water into wine. Yeah, the good wine too. He didn't put out no Wild Irish Rose and Thunderbird. And Mad Dog 2020. That probably would have been some fights. You break out the Mad Dog water, woo, boy, that'd have been a test of the spirits, wouldn't it? Woo. And I'm sitting up there, I say, man, I would love to peer into the lives of all these people who are ignorant of the way. Our mouth is so loose, we just let it anything comes out of our mind, we just let it fly off. And we never consider who we're in front of. You know, there's an adage in the scripture right here, it's a parable that, you know, before you go to war, you sit down. Consider, count the cost. First, see if you have the manpower, the resources, everything available for you to be able to negotiate this war, to partake in this war. If you don't have what it takes to war, then it says, not go away peaceably, it says sit down at the table and negotiate conditions of peace. Is that what it said? Now I just paraphrase. Is that what it said though? And I be telling a lot of you prating idiots who just 1 year, 2 year removed from Christianity, you ain't ready to war with me. And I'm always looking for peace. It's something, isn't it? Y'all encourage Israel? Now, we took it easy on us today, all right? A little bit. We ain't finished, though. I can look at Brother Britt and see I need to stay on this message. Hallelujah. So I'm glad I can talk to Brother Britt. I said to you, you done fell out in the spirit and everything. Yeah, it's over. Whole week you've been down there putting more potholes in our land more than is already there. Falling countenance all over the place. Yeah, I got this spirit on the ropes. I will tell y'all that many of y'all out there that think, hey, when you come here, you ain't hiding. You're not hiding these spirits from you. You should thank Yah that we're trying to save your soul rather than destroy it. But I will tell you this, when I'm done with you and I'm finished with you, I'm finished. I'm finished. I ain't going back. Because I have already, and I think that sometime I've committed a great offense. Because the Bible says after the first and after the second admonition, what are you supposed to do? Reject. So I got to work on my wicked heart. Because I got to work on my wicked heart, making sure that I'm not transgressing even more so against the Father. Because after I admonish you once and I admonish you twice, you continue on that same behavior. I should have canned your butt a long time ago myself. Oh, hallelujah. But I promise you, when I'm done, I'm done. Because I have already checked every corner. I've went as far as I can go. I've given as much as grace as anybody can give it. I've done everything that I could think of possibly doing to make sure my soul is clear with the Most High. And when I'm done, I'm done. I got people now calling back and says, hey, brother, can we meet? I don't even answer. Don't even answer. Just like I ain't never existed. If you're going to really repent, get it. It's a good thing you ain't got to ride a camel.
Yeah, that's just the truth, man.
Get your ass in the vehicle, drive up here, and repent. Oh, I forgive you. But that don't mean I'm going to let you back on the land. I'm going to wait for fruit. It takes 7 years for an apple tree to be able to produce an apple. Uh-oh. So many of you people repent and you let your heart be wide open for them to trample all over you simply because you won't follow the principles of the book. They repent. Okay, good. Now let's bring forth fruit that meets repentance. And your problem is you're impatient. You don't wait enough time for fruit to produce. I mean, an apple tree may bear fruit after 3 years. But that's 3 years.
Right. Yeah.
First that which is natural.
Right.
Then that which is. Our problem is, you see, we haven't set up here and let Yah's laws play out long enough to get these people to see if they have a heart of remorse. That's why I keep telling y'all over and over again, we are the ones that are going to determine if we are going to allow you to fellowship with us. We've already been tested and tried, fried, died, laid to the side. We're not the one in your question, and neither are we going to be judged by you. We're the one that's righteous. We're going to judge you. We've been living this thing for 20-something years. You're the one that the jury is out for deliberating. Oh, hallelujah. So we're going to determine if we're going to let you become a part of us. We don't learn by now that one sinner destroys much good. Oh, hallelujah. There's some people out there. This ain't Christianity 101. Come as you are so you can stay the way you are. Oh, hallelujah. And you can hear them now. There comes the bickering. All you got to do is get peace. Turn the dial. Get on that computer. Click, 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 click. GOCC. You can have all the peace in the world you want. Click, 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 click. TBN. Is that easy? TD Jakes. You can get a crazy praise. Click, 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 click. Cleft load dollar. You can be told your destiny. Arnold Murray, Shepherd's Chapel. There's enough out there in this world to appease all your mind and conscience. And if you really want to, since many of you people love tradition, Hell, we got people out there that's out there killing lambs and goats and putting goat heads on their dinner table for the Passover. That sounds like some of them damn pagans used to do. And they claim to be Hebrews. Okay, so let me look at this the right way, okay? So let me see. We chopping off the Messiah's head, and then we put his head on display, and then we eating of his body, and saying we're partaking of the blood of the Lamb. The bread and the body. Oh, hey, I'm going to leave you alone because I ain't got nothing to do with you. And then they're going to mock us for casting out devils when they up here got goat heads on their table. Why be? Are you serious? And most people think they got the Holy Spirit when they do these stupid dances. Hey! Hey! I'd rather see Brother Emmy dance. See somebody free. Oh, hallelujah. And at least one thing about Brother Emmy, him and, what's that brother name? No, Brother Rashid. Him and Brother Rashid, at least what they did, while everybody else was feasting and playing, they saw that two young teenagers needed the Holy Spirit. And without any prompting from me or Elder Doug, anybody, they looked at him and said, y'all received the Holy Ghost since y'all believe? No, we haven't. Well, come on. And them brothers got filled with the Holy Spirit. Pastor Tatum's sons did. And they were happy. Ooh-wee. And you're supposed to be rejoicing. You're supposed to rejoice that one sinner repented. Kind of hard to do it when we jacked up, though, isn't it? Hallelujah. Let us stand, Israel. Hope y'all learned something from that teaching today. We got a little ways to go, though. So don't be coming here braced up now. Be free. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? I'm as free. Y'all like this song? And this bird you cannot. But we're going to change it. We're going to cut your legs off. You can fly all day long, but your landing going to be a disaster. So on. Y'all, we thank you for all things. We bless you for your word, your truth. Pray these things sink deep down in our hearts. Thank you for this holy Shabbat that gives us rest and peace. In the mighty name of Yahshua HaMashiach, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. O Yah, my strength and my redeemer. You're dismissed in the beautiful name of Jesus Christ. Shalom, saints. Y'all be encouraged, all right, Israel? Be encouraged. The King is coming.